If you want to flip ahead a couple slides, go back just one here. Some of you may recognize a picture like this. It is, how many people recognize what this is? Okay, anybody recognize this? All right, a few people. Okay, so this is my Facebook profile. Out of curiosity, another show of hands, how many people here have a Facebook profile? Raise them nice and high. Okay, all right. Now, I want you to notice that probably about, I would say 3 to 5% of you raise your hands, okay? That doesn't surprise me. If I were to ask that question to any university audience, do you know about 99% of Canadian university students have Facebook? Do you know the average university student spends 4 hours a day on Facebook? Now, put your judgments aside, okay? The reason why I mention that is because if you want to find the place where university students today are living, it is on Facebook. This is where they communicate, this is where they're living, this is where they're networking, this is where they're building their friends. And if you notice here, you might not be able to read it, but right here in my bottom corner, whatever it means that I have this many friends, I have 596 friends on Facebook, okay? This means there's 596 people that I connect with on a regular basis through Facebook. Your average university student has probably about 400 friends on Facebook, okay? So what this means is that if you were to grab a group of 50 Christians on a campus and give them a platform to share their faith through their Facebook, you are potentially getting access to a network of 20,000 people. Think about that for a minute. 50 students together have access to potentially 20,000 individuals. 50 students have access to Orangeville. Like that, the blink of an eye, by putting something up on their Facebook profile. Now, yes, there is some overlap, but if you actually look at it, the overlap is not going to be that significant. So even if you cut that down to 10 or 15,000 students they have access to, it's mind-blowing. And so what we want to do is to create a strategy where students can actually utilize their Facebook profile and the friends they've got through Facebook to share their faith, to help their friends discover Jesus. And so this is where my story kicks in. My story is a strategy to help students learn to share their story about the cravings they have, how they've been trying to find satisfaction but haven't been finding it in all kinds of things, and yet how they found satisfaction truly in Jesus. And so we are creating a strategy for students to learn how to share their personal story, to learn how to make it into a video, or to write it up in text or to use images, then to put it on their profile, and then to begin to share and to engage in conversation with their friends about their stories and about the gospel. And the results of this have been absolutely staggering, to be totally honest with you. It is incredibly exciting to think about the number of people that you can reach. Right now, if we were to mobilize the students that are just currently involved in Campus for Christ across Canada, we would have access, we figure, and taking down the amount of actual sort of attrition, so to speak, because of overlap, we figure on Facebook our ministry has access to about 680,000 people. Right now. 680,000 people. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy that today we could reach 680,000 people like that. And so that's what we're trying to do. And we're just that naive, and we're just that young, and we're just that whimsical, and we're just that, I don't know what, crazy, that we actually are going to try and do this. And so this is part of one of the strategies we're doing, is helping students to share their stories, and then to share it with their friends online. To give you one snapshot of how this has an impact, I want to show you a picture of a couple girls from Waterloo where we did a test pilot with this. The girl on the left here, she posted her story up on Facebook. She's an international student from the Caribbean. So she came to Canada, and in Canada, She, in her first year, came to Christ on campus. She then got involved with us on campus in Campus for Christ. And then her third year, she decided to write her story, put it into a video, and post it up on her Facebook profile. And then send it out to a bunch of her friends to start conversations. Well, one of her friends, who was also from the Caribbean, who's now studying as an international student in England, messaged her online and said, "I saw your story. I'd love to chat about this." And so they began having these regular online conversation dates where they would discuss her story and the impact that Jesus has had on her life. And after about 3 or 4 of these meetings, Leanna led her friend in England, so both from Caribbean, they both go to Western universities, one in Canada, one in England. Leanna comes to know Jesus at university, shares her story, and then online, 2 years later, leads her friend in England over the internet to Christ. And then begins following her up online through conversations online that are happening. This is the potential of what can happen. I just got an email about a week ago from a student who used to live in India, or used to live in Canada and has moved back to India. They have friends on Facebook who are still in Canada and saw a bunch of the My Craving stuff on their Facebook profiles. This person was never involved with Campus for Christ when they were here in Canada, just happened to see a student that was involved with us in Canada promoting some of these things. They emailed us and said, "I would love to bring this stuff to my campus in India. Can you help me?" Like, the world has flattened because of the internet and because of communication. There is incredible potential to reach the world. And that's really the vision of what we as a ministry, and Natalie and I personally really feel called to. And so, just in closing, you might be wondering, how do Natalie and I fit into this team that we're working on? What is our particular roles? And so on this team, we've got a graphic designer. We've got a couple guys that do video. We've got a project manager, a writer. And then Natalie and I, Natalie helps to oversee our administration for the team. She basically keeps us all organized, and she also manages the finances for the team, and so has a hugely significant role in managing a lot of the administrative parts of the team. And then my role in the team is to kind of, once we've created something like my story, for example, my job is to kind of be the liaison between our team and the local campus. So to help the campuses get trained on how to use these strategies, to help students and staff learn how to implement them, to network with other countries, ministries, to see how we can collaborate with ministries like in India or in Singapore or in New Zealand, or a couple of the countries that we're currently beginning to develop partnerships with. And so that's how kind of our two roles fit in. And so in closing, what I would just like to share is, first of all, I want to thank you guys. As a church, and as many of you as individuals have been partners with Natalie and I for the last 5 years as we've been doing this ministry, and we deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate you and value you. And so we want to thank you for your partnership with us in this. We want to thank you for your prayers for us. This is a deeply spiritual venture that we are in, and is not just simply task lists that you go through. And so we deeply appreciate your prayers for us. And we would covet your continued partnership and continued prayers for us as we go forward. And if you do have any other questions, as was mentioned with Jane, I'm going to hang around downstairs. So you can come and chat with me after. I'd love to chat and share more with you, or answer any questions that you have. But again, I just really thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your ongoing partnership with us. And we really deeply value you as partners with us. So thank you very much.